All right, Coach. Back in the Hofstra wrestling room, under a little bit different circumstances. Tell all of us wrestling morons what you're doing right now.
I'm an assistant athletic director involved with development and corporate sponsorships. A few years ago, I got my second master's in higher education leadership because I was always planning on switching to administration eventually. My original plan was 50. When I turned 50, I was 46. There was an opportunity here, and I fought it a little bit. I said no at first. My wife thought it was a good move, and at the end of the day, I kind of came out of nowhere, but we ended up doing it now. So. But obviously, I've barely been in here. I've been so busy over there. Plus, I want to give Jamie his space, right? He always knows he can call or reach out. He was my assistant and associate coach for 5 years. But he hasn't much, only little questions here and there and stuff like that. But I've barely been in here for, like I said, a lot of the reasons of I don't want to. He needs to establish that he's here, and then when that gets fully established, I'll probably come around a little bit more. But I'm so busy in my new role that we'll see. I keep saying I'm going to stop by every day, and then I go a week and a half, and I don't even come to this hallway. You know what I mean? So it's nice to be in here today.
All right, so you guys are the pride
Yeah.
of Long Island. How proud are you of kind of where you left the program, how you were involved in the program, and the momentum that the program has now?
For sure. We had a really, really young team. We didn't have the IWA tournament that we wanted. That was one of the hardest reasons to get away when I did, because I didn't like the way we ended like our EIWA tournament and the NCAA tournament. But there was an opportunity and I had to do it. But we were young and we had guys coming in and we were excited about it. That's made it tough. So of course I'm excited. I'm an alumni, right? I got 3 degrees from here. I was a grad assistant here. I was an assistant coach here. I was, I'm
high school down the road, right?
High school down the road. I'm a head coach here. Now I'm an assistant AD and just in a different building. So a lot of connections, a lot of pride, and obviously I thought Jamie was a very good fit, and that was my feedback when we were looking for a new coach. I didn't do the hiring, but they definitely took my feedback, and I thought Jamie was a good fit, and I'm glad that worked out. So. A lot of pride, right? Because, like I said, I've worn these colors for a very long time, and I still wear them. So, it's excited for them and excited to be a fan a little bit, as much as I'm still involved in an administrator aspect, helping fundraise, to get what the program needs, right? But also in a little bit of a fan aspect. It's going to be kind of nice, a little less stressful on match days.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Match days, you get to sit.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep your mouth shut?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think so, because I'll be calmer, right? Where a lot of it was tied into my identity and who we were, and the thing changed so much. So I think it can be nice to be a fan, right? To be a supportive fan, and I could probably heckle officials a little more than I could now. Still less, because I'm an administrator, right? So I also still got to watch what I do and say.
Yeah.
I just plan to be here for moral support and root on the program as if I didn't even work here. Does that make sense? It's gonna be nice to be in a fan rooting for the guys I recruited, every one of them, right?
Yeah.
I either coached or recruited every single kid in the room still.
Yeah.
So, obviously, as you saw, I've came in and most guys ran over to give me a high. They're my guys. So it would be. I don't know, man. It's an interesting question. Everyone's like, how do you feel in the transition? I don't miss it. But we'll see what happens during wrestling season. That's when I'm always going to be nervous about how I feel about how I made a transition. But wrestling season is a part of the job you like, so that hasn't happened yet. So I miss these scraps.
Sure.
But I'm okay with where my life was always going, right? So that's where we're at.
Okay, so from an admin perspective, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm just spitballing, there's been a lot of change, right?
Yeah,
the 30 scholarship limit, we're only doing this, we're only doing that, and I'm just, I'm just a fan. I don't know behind the curtain.
Right.
You have more than just wrestling that you're overseeing, but from a kind of just a wrestling lens, what is the next year, 2 years? How do you see it unfolding?
I don't think anyone really knows. Obviously talking to those. I don't think, Hofstra and obviously I'm very good friends with a lot of head coaches across the country that I talk to. And from their administration, they don't know what direction they're going on, how they're increasing, if they're going to increase scholarships, who or what or why. I think everyone's really saying, okay, here's the new information. Let's digest it. Let's see how it breaks out, and then people are going to make decisions. So, I feel like I usually know what I'm talking about. I have no clue.
It seems to have been that way over the last couple of years with NIL. Nobody really knew, and we're kind of feeling it about in the dark. But from a fan perspective, I'm like, 30 scholarships. We went from 9.9, and then you start to dig into it, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Not everybody can afford 30 scholarships.
How many do you think can?
Not very many.
I will tell you, I've spoken to several coaches that have won national titles with their team in the last few years, and they're never getting to 30. They were told they're never going to 30 scholarships. So I love how everyone thinks every team's going to 30. Okay, because I have, talked to some coaches that have been the coach of the year multiple times in the last decade and won NCAA titles, and they're like, we're not going to 30. You know what I mean? Right? Like, that's just, they also have to give more money to football and basketball now, right?
Right. Full rides.
Where does everyone think all this money's coming from, right? So, so if you're a fan, right, and I'm talking to the fans now, I'm talking to the camera this time. If you're a fan and you want to help, the only way to help is, it sounds crazy, you got to support and you got to donate, because that's where, all these programs that are making jumps, and we can talk, I don't want to name names, but one major historical program just made a huge jump, right, with a coaching change and huge salary. That was all of outside income money. None of that came from the school. One donor wrote a check and said, what do we need to win? We need 40 million. Here's 40 million. You want your program to win? Go give it 40 million and watch what happens. You know what I mean? So I'm just talking to the fans here. That's just the way it's going to be. So support your program. They need it more now than ever. There's no doubt about it.
Well, there's no doubt about that. What I see in this room, these kids still want to grind. They still want to win. They're still hunting for titles too.
100%.
Right? And they're obviously learning, growing, and giving back to the community when they leave here. You got some 6-year guys out there, a couple 5-year transfers and whatnot.
Right.
So it's very important from a fan perspective to not sit back on your hands and go, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
This sport is doomed.
Right. Help. And we won't be. Everyone knows what the sport does for people, right? Besides making my knees hurt when I walk them down the steps, it's done so many other things, right? So, and like I said, that's why it was hard to step away. But support and help out the teams you want to support, the teams that you're in love with, to kind of help the sport grow, because the world needs the sport, and I think we all probably think that.
All right, Coach. I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming over and saying hi.
Yeah.
And thanks for catching up with all of us that are out there wondering what's next for you. And I think hopefully we get to a little bit of light what's happening right now.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys.